Green Acres, 1965 to 1971, was a beloved sitcom that blended big city humor with small-town charm, creating one of the most memorable TV comedies of its time. The show's talented cast brought its quirky characters to life, making audiences laugh for generations. However, as time has passed, many of these beloved actors have sadly left us. Some were taken too soon by illness or tragedy, while others enjoyed long careers before their final farewell. In this video, we honor 37 Green Acres stars who have tragically died, looking back at their lives, careers, and the unforgettable legacy they left behind. Eddie Albert, who played the determined Oliver Wendell Douglas in Green Acres, took on the role in 1965 at the age of 59. As a lawyer-turned-farmer, Oliver's character was often caught between his idealistic dreams and the harsh realities of farm life, providing both comedic and heartfelt moments. In real life, Albert's personal journey was far from ideal. His first marriage to actress Margot ended in a painful divorce, and his second marriage to actress Kathleen Nolan, while lasting longer, was strained due to their inability to have children. Albert faced deep emotional turmoil after the tragic loss of his adopted son, an event that haunted him throughout his life. Though his career remained successful, he struggled with loneliness in his later years, especially after his wife passed away in 1991. Albert passed away on May 26, 2005, at 99, from pneumonia, marking the end of a life shadowed by personal heartache and loss.
Up your little seed. Have a board. It's all yours.
Oh, farming is more than puttering in a few pots.
But darling, this way you can start out small and find out.
Tom Lester, who brought the lovable but naive E.B. Dawson to life in Green Acres, began his role in 1965 at the age of 27. E.B.'s character, with his endearing loyalty and earnest nature, provided much of the show's lighthearted charm. However, behind the scenes, Lester's personal life was marked by a series of difficult events. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his later attempts at relationships were often fraught with failure, leading him to a life of emotional loneliness. Lester also battled Parkinson's disease in his later years, a diagnosis that deeply affected both his body and spirit. The disease took away his ability to enjoy life as he once had, and he withdrew from the public eye, far removed from the fame of his younger days. Tom Lester passed away on April 20, 2020, at the age of 81 from complications of Parkinson's disease, marking the end of a life that was overshadowed by a long and painful battle with both his health and his own inner struggles.
That tub out here?
No, I'm going to put that in now.
Then you're going to have to take out the sink.
Why?
That's the only way you can get the tub in.
Eva Gabor, who portrayed the glamorous Lisa Douglas in Green Acres, started the role in 1965 at the age of 46. Lisa's character, with her city sophistication and reluctance to embrace rural life, often provided a humorous contrast to her husband Oliver's idealistic vision. Gabor's personal life, however, was far from the fairy tale her on-screen role suggested. She married 3 times, but all her unions ended in divorce. Her first marriage to hotel magnate Conrad Hilton lasted 11 years, but the divorce was acrimonious. Her second marriage to actor George Sanders was short and unhappy, with Sanders reportedly emotionally distant. Gabor's final marriage to Frank Y. Horn, a Texas socialite, ended in disappointment as well, and she never had children, which left her with a lingering sense of unfulfillment. In her later years, Gabor battled health problems, and she passed away on July 4, 1995, at the age of 76 from pneumonia.
Andy, dear. But I think you should have put the bathtub in first and then the sink.
Have you ever done any plumbing?
Not recently.
Then,
Pat Buttram, who played the crafty Mr. Haney in Green Acres, began his role in 1965 at the age of 50. Buttram's portrayal of the scheming salesman who constantly tried to swindle Oliver was both hilarious and memorable, but his own life was filled with personal difficulties. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his second marriage was no more successful, with Buttram facing accusations of emotional neglect. Behind his comedic exterior, Buttram often struggled with feelings of loneliness and isolation. In his later years, his health began to decline, and he faced a long battle with kidney failure. Despite his success on screen, Buttram's personal life remained full of quiet sorrows. He passed away on January 8, 1994, at the age of 78, from kidney failure. His death was a bittersweet end to a life that, though filled with laughter, was also marked by emotional pain and the toll of health problems that ultimately overshadowed his career achievements.
I hope you like the place, Miss Douglas. Oh, by the way, Mr. Douglas, if you need anything for the house...
I won't.
You might.
Alvy Moore, who portrayed the bumbling county agent Hank Kimball in Green Acres, began his role in 1965 at the age of 44. Hank Kimball was known for his confusion and nonsensical statements, often leaving others bewildered and amused. However, Moore's real life was far from the comedic chaos of his character. His career in Hollywood was a mixture of occasional success and unfulfilled potential. Moore had a troubled personal life, with his first marriage ending in divorce. He remarried, but his second marriage was also strained, marked by emotional distance. He had children, but the bond with them was distant and his family life lacked the stability his character had. Despite the fame he achieved on Green Acres, Moore struggled with loneliness and personal dissatisfaction. He passed away on May 4, 1997, at the age of 75 due to heart failure, his life reflecting the same confusion and tragic irony that marked his character's existence.
A bunch of squaws together, and, well, they weren't all squaws. Some of them were British soldiers they'd captured, and, well, they didn't capture them. Some of them...
Mr. Kimball, may I ask you a question?
Hank Patterson, who played Fred Ziffel, the gruff yet lovable farmer who shared a unique bond with his pet pig Arnold, began his role in Green Acres in 1965 at the age of 77. Fred Ziffel was known for his affection for Arnold, treating the pig like a child, but Patterson's personal life was much more complicated. His career, though steady, was marked by financial instability and periods of uncertainty. Patterson's marriage was troubled, facing emotional strain and distance, and he had children, but his relationship with them was distant, furthering his sense of isolation. The latter part of his life was plagued by health problems, and he struggled with depression and feelings of inadequacy. The man who made audiences laugh with his eccentric character off-screen faced a life filled with personal sorrow. Hank Patterson passed away from bronchial pneumonia on August 23, 1975, at the age of 86, leaving behind a legacy of affection for his role but a personal life marked by emotional turmoil and regret.
The starting place? What kind of prizes are you giving? Prizes?
Well, what are we having for lunch?
Lunch?
That's what it says right here.
Giant...
Frank Cady, who played Sam Drucker, the reliable storekeeper on Green Acres, began his role in 1965 at the age of 50. While Sam Drucker was the epitome of stability and kindness, Cady's personal life was marked by struggle. He had a long marriage to Dorothy, but it was marred by difficulties, including the emotional toll his acting career took on him. The couple had children, but family life was not without its challenges. Cady's career, though successful, was sometimes overshadowed by his personal battles with loneliness and dissatisfaction. He never quite felt the fulfillment he sought, and his later years were filled with health issues that took a toll on him both physically and emotionally. Despite his public persona as a comforting figure, Cady's personal life was filled with sorrow and emotional hardship. He passed away on June 8, 2012, at the age of 96, after a long decline in health, leaving behind a legacy of kindness but also a life shadowed by emotional turmoil.
This week's edition. Only I don't think you're going to get too many offers once the word gets around about the condition of your soil.
No, I suppose not.
Of course, we'll miss you and Mrs. Douglas.
Mary Grace Canfield, known for playing the cheerful carpenter Ralph Monroe on Green Acres, started the role in 1965 at the age of 41. Ralph Monroe was a spirited, upbeat character, always willing to help around the farm, but Canfield's real life was much darker. She had 2 marriages, both of which ended in divorce, and never had children, which she often spoke of as a source of deep sorrow. Her personal struggles were compounded by a long and private battle with lung cancer, a disease that slowly took her strength and happiness. Though she found success in her career, Canfield never seemed to find peace in her personal life, often feeling alone and disconnected from those around her. The once lively actress spent her final years battling health issues and personal demons. She passed away on February 15, 2014, at the age of 89 after a long, painful fight with cancer, her final days marked by the same quiet sadness that had defined much of her later life.
Guys, we're afraid to sleep in the dark.
Well, what do we do, Alf?
What are you asking me for? It's your turn to be foreman this week.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Well, how about fixing the door?
Okay.
Barbara Pepper joined Green Acres in 1965 at age 50 as Doris Ziffel, the no-nonsense but loving farm wife who doted on her pet pig, Arnold. Once a glamorous actress in the 1930s, she had been part of MGM's Goldwyn Girls alongside Lucille Ball and seemed destined for stardom. However, her life took a tragic turn when her husband, actor Craig Reynolds, died in a motorcycle accident in 1949, leaving her a widowed mother of two. Grief drove her into alcoholism, which damaged both her health and career, leading to a dramatic decline in roles. Once a close friend of Lucille Ball, she was ultimately distanced from Hollywood due to her struggles. By the late 1960s, her once beautiful appearance was ravaged by years of heavy drinking and health issues. Her final days were spent in poor health and isolation, unable to reclaim the success of her youth. On July 18, 1969, at just 54 years old, she died from thrombosis.
Over with.
Amen. Well, goodbye, Mrs. Douglas.
Oh, goodbye, Mrs. Ziffel. Have a good time.
Thank you. Bye, Arnold.
Sid Melton took on the role of Alf Monroe in Green Acres in 1965 at the age of 48, playing the inept carpenter whose work often caused more problems than it solved. His quick wit and slapstick comedy made him a memorable presence, but behind the scenes, his career was a series of disappointments. Though he appeared in many films and TV shows, he was forever typecast in comedic side roles, never achieving the recognition he longed for. Melton never married and had no children, living much of his life in solitude. In his later years, as his health declined, he struggled with loneliness, reminiscing about missed opportunities. Friends described him as a man who masked his sadness with humor, but in private, he often expressed regret over the career that never fully blossomed. In his final years, he lived quietly in a nursing home, rarely visited, his contributions to Hollywood largely forgotten. On November 2, 2011, at the age of 94, he passed away from pneumonia.
He's gonna take your mind off things. Here, come on, get out.
Me too.
Boo! If there were any other carpenters in Hooterville.
K.E. Kuter portrayed the kind-hearted farmer Newt Kiley in Green Acres, beginning his role in 1965 at the age of 40. A talented, classically trained actor, he spent his career in supporting roles, never reaching the stardom he had envisioned. Though respected in Hollywood, he often felt overlooked, watching younger actors surpass him while he remained confined to minor parts. He was married, but his professional frustrations put a strain on his relationship, and with no children, his later years were filled with quiet loneliness. As he aged, he suffered from chronic health issues, becoming increasingly withdrawn from the world he had once fought so hard to be part of. His final years were marked by frailty and obscurity, his name slowly fading from public memory. On November 12, 2003, at the age of 78, he passed away from pulmonary complications, his death barely making headlines. A sorrowful farewell to a man who had spent decades in the shadows of Hollywood.
Seriously think you could get a World's Fair to come here to Hooterville?
Mr. Douglas, you got a belt buckle?
No.
Well, then would you sit down?
Sorry, no speeches without a belt buckle.
Edgar Buchanan, who portrayed the lovable but lazy Uncle Joe Carson in Green Acres, joined the show in 1965 at the age of 62. Uncle Joe, with his scheming nature and constant attempts to avoid work, brought much of the show's humor, yet his character's laziness mirrored Buchanan's own struggles with his real-life battles. Buchanan's career, though successful, was marred by personal challenges. His marriage to actress and singer Dorothy Walton lasted until her death in 1957, leaving him a widower. The couple had no children, which added a layer of solitude to his personal life. Buchanan, while widely loved for his on-screen roles, faced an overwhelming sense of loneliness in his later years, compounded by his own declining health. The stroke he suffered in 1979 marked the final chapter of a life that, while filled with laughter, was punctuated by personal sorrow. He passed away on April 4, 1979, at the age of 76.
Don't you like the ones that are there now?
There aren't any there now.
That Haney. Well, it could have been worse. He could have taken the kitchen sink, too.
He did.
Robert Foulk entered Green Acres in 1966 at the age of 58 as Roy Trendell, a practical and steady presence in the eccentric town of Hooterville. Throughout his career, he was a dependable character actor, often seen in westerns and television dramas, but never breaking through as a leading man. Hollywood had little patience for aging actors, and as he grew older, roles became scarce, leaving him struggling to maintain financial stability. His marriage suffered under the weight of his dwindling career, growing distant over the years. He had a daughter, but his work had kept him absent for much of her life, creating an emotional gap that was never fully bridged. In his later years, he lived quietly, largely forgotten by the industry he had once been a part of. On February 25, 1989, at the age of 80, he passed away from natural causes, his death little more than a footnote in Hollywood history, a quiet and lonely end for a man who had spent a lifetime on its fringes.
You may have a legitimate complaint, and then again you may be another crackpot.
I have a legitimate complaint. That!
Eleanor Audley, who played the domineering and sophisticated Mother Eunice Douglas in Green Acres, began her role in 1965 at the age of 60. Mother Eunice, known for her sharp tongue and fierce opposition to her son's country life, was a character who embodied the conflict between sophistication and rural simplicity. Audley's personal life, however, was a different story of hardship. She was married twice, but both marriages were unhappy and ended in divorce. She had no children, a fact that seemed to weigh heavily on her throughout her life, as she often spoke about the emptiness she felt from not having a family. Audley's later years were filled with struggles with illness, particularly respiratory issues, which ultimately led to her death. She passed away on November 25, 1991, at the age of 86, from respiratory failure. Her death was a tragic conclusion to a life that, despite professional success, was overshadowed by personal regrets and health battles.
Oh, I love you.
Yes, and I love you.
Then you will see a psychiatrist. Oliver, you're not cut out to be a farmer. You don't have a strong enough finger.
Dave Willock, who played the friendly and helpful ticket agent in Green Acres, started his role in 1965 at the age of 56. Willock's character was known for his willingness to assist the residents of Hooterville, offering a warm and approachable personality that contrasted sharply with his own life struggles. Willock's career was characterized by steady but not overwhelming success, and while he had a reputation for being a dependable actor, his personal life was fraught with difficulty. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his later relationships were marked by emotional disconnect. Willock, much like his character, was often seen as the reliable figure, but behind closed doors, he battled loneliness and personal demons. He suffered a stroke in 1990, which led to his death on November 12th of that year at the age of 81.
Awful lot of it. We need one, about this big.
Well, this is not your electrical. I mean, your electricity. You see, this is the meter. I'm the installer.
Hal Smith took on the role of Horace Colby in Green Acres in 1966 at the age of 50, playing a dependable and friendly member of the community. Though he found steady work in voice acting, most notably as Otis the Drunk on the Andy Griffith Show, he struggled to break free from typecasting, constantly cast as comic relief rather than the dramatic actor he aspired to be. His career brought him some recognition, but his personal life suffered. His marriage to Louise C. Smith, though enduring, was often strained by long periods of separation. Their only son, Terry, grew up feeling disconnected from his father, who was always away in recording studios or on set. As Smith aged, his health declined, and he turned to alcohol to cope with his loneliness and fading career. Though he continued to work sporadically, his once booming voice grew weaker, and his health deteriorated rapidly. On January 28, 1994, he suffered a fatal heart attack at the age of 77.
Way to the city. They think they can do better there.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
Well, whether it's true or not, all their friends are going, and they don't want to stay.
Yeah, it's quite a problem.
Jonathan Holt joined Green Acres in 1966 at the age of 62 as the fastidious and meticulous clerk, a man dedicated to bureaucracy and precision. In reality, Holt himself was a man of great discipline and ambition, but his acting career never blossomed the way he had hoped. Despite training in theater and radio, he was continually relegated to minor roles, struggling to gain recognition. He had dreamed of starring on Broadway, yet his name remained buried in cast lists beneath more prominent actors. His personal life mirrored his professional disappointments. His marriage to actress Betty Hanna endured, but they had no children, and their later years were marked by growing emotional distance. As time passed, work offers dwindled, and Holt became increasingly reclusive, watching his industry move on without him. By the late 1980s, he was virtually forgotten, spending his last years in quiet solitude. He passed away on February 12, 1998, at the age of 93.
Take a number. Sir, your friendly County Power Gas and Water Company installed this system at great
Fran Ryan stepped into the role of Doris Ziffel in Green Acres in 1969 at the age of 53, portraying a no-nonsense yet affectionate woman with a deep love for her pet pig, Arnold. In reality, Ryan's life was filled with disappointments and personal struggles. A determined actress, she spent decades fighting for recognition, only to be pigeonholed into supporting roles. Her first marriage ended in heartbreak when her husband left, forcing her to raise their only son, Christopher, alone while juggling an unstable acting career. Later, she remarried, but the union was short-lived. Her dedication to acting clashed with the traditional home life her husband desired, leading to another failed relationship. Though she found steady work in television, she never achieved the fame she longed for, and as she aged, roles became fewer and farther between. She spent her final years alone, battling health issues and the bitter reality that she had outlived most of her peers. She passed away on January 15, 2000, at the age of 83.
If I wasn't a prisoner of love, I'd walk out on you.
Now, you want to get over there. It's probably important.
Bea Benaderet took on the role of Kate Bradley in Green Acres in 1965 at the age of 59, bringing warmth and charm to the beloved character. Kate Bradley was a strong-willed yet nurturing woman, always looking after her family and the guests at the Shady Rest Hotel with a motherly touch. Bea had an extensive career in radio and television, yet despite her talent, she was often overshadowed by bigger stars, even losing the role of Ethel Mertz in I Love Lucy to Vivian Vance. In her personal life, she married Jim Bannon in 1938, and though they had 2 children, Jack and Maggie, their marriage ended in a bitter divorce in 1950. She later found love again with Eugene Twombly, but their happiness was short-lived due to her declining health. Tragedy struck when she was diagnosed with lung cancer in 1967, forcing her to leave Petticoat Junction while undergoing treatments that proved unsuccessful. She passed away on October 13, 1968, at the age of 62.
Have it? Oh, where would I wear something like this around here? Even if I could get into it.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah, I know just how you feel about living.
George Ives stepped into the role of the hotel clerk in Green Acres in 1967 at 41 years old, bringing an air of efficiency and professionalism to the character. Always polite and well-mannered, the hotel clerk ensured that every guest had a comfortable stay. Despite a lengthy career in film and television, Ives never reached leading man status and often played minor roles in various productions. His life remained relatively private, with little information about his relationships or personal struggles. He remained dedicated to his craft, but as the years passed, he faded into obscurity, never achieving the stardom he had once hoped for. He lived his final years quietly, away from the spotlight, before passing away from natural causes on February 22, 2013, at the age of 87. His death was barely noticed by the entertainment industry, a stark reminder of the fleeting nature of Hollywood fame.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, for the love of...
Do you have another convention we can attend?
No, sir. All we have at the moment is a reunion for the friends of Bobby.
Bob Hastings took on the role of the sheriff in Green Acres in 1967 at the age of 42, portraying a strict yet fair lawman who maintained order in the eccentric town of Hooterville. With a deep, authoritative voice, Hastings found himself frequently cast in military and police roles, most notably as Lieutenant Elroy Carpenter in McHale's Navy. Despite a steady career in television and voice acting, including his well-known work as Commissioner Gordon in Batman, the animated series, he was often overlooked for larger, more prestigious roles. Married to Joan Rice since 1948, he had 4 children, but his demanding work schedule strained family relationships, leading to periods of emotional distance. In his later years, he suffered from prostate cancer, enduring years of treatments that left him frail and exhausted. Once a vibrant presence in Hollywood, he spent his final years away from the spotlight, struggling with declining health. He passed away on June 30, 2014, at the age of 89.
That was wearing the beret.
No, that was Homer.
Who's Homer?
Oh, he's the little man that I made up. Everybody had their little man and woman.
And you...
J. Pat O'Malley stepped into the role of Ben Hanks in Green Acres in 1966 at the age of 62, portraying a warm-hearted, ever-reliable neighbor who was always ready to help. Behind this genial facade, O'Malley carried the weight of a career that never quite met his ambitions. Once a promising entertainer in England, he moved to Hollywood in search of bigger opportunities, only to find himself stuck in minor roles, voicing animated characters, and making fleeting television appearances. Though he married Dorothy Swift, their union was more companionship than passion, and they had no children, leaving him without a family legacy. As he aged, he struggled with depression, feeling forgotten in an industry that had moved on. His final years were spent in relative obscurity, health failing, body weakened by years of stress and regret. On February 27, 1985, at the age of 80, he died of natural causes.
Well, he's a city feller from New York. Mr. Douglas was a lawyer.
Well, sir, always glad to meet a bona fide practicing member of the bar.
No. I gave up my practice in New York when I came out here.
Parley Baer joined Green Acres in 1965 at 51, playing the respectable and authoritative lieutenant governor, a man of rules and regulations who brought a sense of order to the show's absurdity. In real life, Baer had a long career in radio and television, but despite his extensive work, he was rarely in the spotlight. The constant struggle for roles took its toll, leaving him financially insecure despite decades in the industry. He was married to Ernestine Clark for over 50 years, but their relationship was marked by hardship, including his declining health and the stress of never quite achieving fame. As he aged, he suffered a debilitating stroke that left him weak and unable to work, stealing from him the last shred of identity he had in Hollywood. His final years were marked by physical decline and frustration, dependent on others for care, a fate he deeply resented. On November 22, 2002, at the age of 88, he passed away from complications related to his stroke.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Clyde. Are you gentlemen the welcoming committee from Hooterville?
Yes, Your Honor. We're the welcoming committee, and this is,
Well, gentlemen, I am very glad.
Vince Barnett took on the role of the baggage man in Green Acres in 1966 at the age of 64, embodying a hardworking and diligent employee. Known for his quick wit and comedic timing, Barnett had once been a promising actor, even working as a comedian in the early days of Hollywood. However, he was often typecast in supporting roles and struggled to break into leading parts, leaving him in a state of frustration. His personal life remained largely private, though there were whispers of a failed romance that left him heartbroken. As he aged, health issues plagued him, and his once lively career dwindled into obscurity. In his later years, he suffered from a severe heart ailment that led to his passing on August 10, 1977, at the age of 75. Despite a career spanning decades, his death went largely unnoticed in Hollywood, a painful reflection of how quickly fame can fade. Shirley Mitchell joined Green Acres in 1967 at the age of 48 as the nurse, a gentle and caring figure who provided comfort to the town's residents. Though never a household name, she was a familiar presence on television, best known as Lucy Ricardo's laughing friend Marion in I Love Lucy. She worked consistently in Hollywood but was largely typecast in supporting roles, overshadowed by more prominent actresses. She married Dr. Julian Frieden in 1946, and they had 2 children, Brooke and Scott. However, after nearly 3 decades, their marriage ended in divorce in 1974, leaving Mitchell heartbroken. She later found love again with songwriter Jay Livingston, whom she married in 1992, but his death in 2001 left her devastated and alone in her later years. Despite maintaining an optimistic public image, she struggled with loneliness and declining health. She passed away from heart failure on November 11, 2013, at the age of 94. Roland Winters joined Green Acres in 1965 at 61 years old as Mr. Gerber, a wise and experienced character who often dispensed valuable advice to those around him. Winters had previously played Charlie Chan in several films, but the role, once a highlight of his career, eventually became a curse as he was typecast, limiting his opportunities in Hollywood. Despite his talent, he struggled to find meaningful roles, and his career gradually declined. In his personal life, details remain scarce, but it is known that he faced loneliness in his later years. The struggle to remain relevant in an ever-changing industry took its toll on him, and in 1989, he suffered a debilitating stroke. He passed away on October 22, 1989, at the age of 84, having spent his final years in relative obscurity. His death was a quiet one, marking the end of a once promising career that never fully reached its potential. Damian O'Flynn portrayed Charles Clyde in Green Acres in 1967 at 60, bringing to life a character known for his no-nonsense, pragmatic approach to town affairs. In real life, O'Flynn had started as a dashing leading man in the 1930s, but quickly fell into supporting roles, his early potential never fully realized. The transition from young heartthrob to forgotten character actor was painful, leaving him bitter as younger stars took the roles he once dreamed of. He never married, and those close to him noted his increasing isolation as the years passed. By the 1970s, his career had dwindled to near nothing, and he lived in quiet obscurity, watching as Hollywood forgot him. His death on August 8, 1982, at the age of 75, was met with little fanfare. The cause was never publicly disclosed, adding an air of mystery to his final days, but those who knew him believed he had simply lost the will to keep fighting against an industry that had long since discarded him. Who is your favorite character in Green Acres? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.